Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. Hello, friends. It's December 2nd. It is December, the last month of 2024. And you made it. Here we are, right here in the here and now. And today we're going to be talking about declutter and reset, clearing mental and emotional space. This is a good one, especially right here at the end of the year as we're moving into the new year. And I want to start off with a quote. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. That's Leonardo da Vinci. And it's beautiful. And there can, especially as the year ends, there can be a lot of noise. It can get really busy. There's like everyone amps up their marketing and their advertising, and there's so much going on. And also, we can practice decluttering and resetting and focusing on physical decluttering and also clearing mental and emotional spaces. And that can be even more powerful for inner peace. And so today's episode is going to focus on letting go of mental and emotional clutter for clarity and alignment. And this time of year, the holidays, family, friends, there's just a lot going on. And so I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to touch on some of these topics that you might be feeling or experiencing right now. Or maybe you've been experiencing them since the last holiday, or this is all stuff that's starting to bubble up, right? So we're going to dive in, and we're going to start with mental clutter, like identifying mental clutter. First off, we all know what physical decluttering is, right? And we are going to come back to that because it's important. So mental clutter. Let's identify mental clutter first. And it can show up as intrusive thoughts, limiting beliefs, perfectionism. Sound familiar, anyone? I'm over here raising my hand, right? And anything that clogs up our mental space. That's what we're going to call mental clutter. So let me give you a couple examples. I said intrusive thoughts. So the negative self-talk, right? The self-doubt, the self-shaming, the self-sabotage, the I'm so stupid. I should have known better. I'm so stupid, right? Or I'm never going to be able to do this. That kind of thing. Those would be like intrusive thoughts, right? And then limiting beliefs and things like that. Okay. So we're going to call all of this mental clutter, we got to let it go. We got to let it go. And doing so is a really profound act of self-love because it is allowing yourself peace, right? And you might be going, yeah, easier said than done, right? And so I want to give you a couple actionable tips here. I'm not just going to tell you, clean up your mental clutter. We're going to talk about how you can do it. Okay. First off, I like this analogy. I want you to think about this. So if you think about, you ever seen the little image of like, you got the angel on one shoulder, the devil on one shoulder type of thing? Well, this is like you've got the cheerleader on one shoulder and you've got the critic on the other shoulder. And this is what your inner voice can be like sometimes. So your higher self, right? This is like your cheerleader, your inner cheerleader. It's like, yes, 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 cheering you on. You got this. You have everything you need inside of you. Things are always working out for you. Like the same or better, like you got it, right? And on the other shoulder, if we're using that, you've got the inner critic, the one that is like, you look horrible in that picture. Why did you say that? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. Why did you say that? Why did you say that? Why did you say that? You're so stupid, right? Like, why did you do that? Oh, cringe, right? Like that voice, that's the inner critic. And that's the one we're going to let go of because that is the mental clutter. That is what's keeping you small. That is what's keeping you feeling stressed and anxious, right? That we're going to let that go. So let's talk about some ways we can do that. We want the inner cheerleader. We don't want the inner critic. We are going to just, hey, inner critic, when we hear him or them, you're not like, nope. We're letting you go. You have been relieved of your duties here, right? Okay, so what are some things we could do? We could do a journaling dump, which is like a brain dump, where you are just writing everything down without judgment. And the goal here is to clear, not organize. Like we're not trying to organize our thoughts. We're not trying to make it look pretty and all of this stuff. This is almost like just stream of consciousness. Like you're getting it out. You're dumping it. Just whatever comes up, you're not judging yourself. You're not trying to follow the thought, figure it out, solve it, go there, right? You're just getting it all out. Any of these thoughts, whatever's coming into your mind, it's a brain dump. Whatever you're hearing in there, whatever that inner dialogue is, those intrusive thoughts, the limiting beliefs, like I can't do this until, or I don't have enough money to do what I want to do, or I can't do this until I get the job I want to do. Whatever your limiting beliefs are, whatever your things that you're dealing with are, you know your things. Write them down. Just write them all down. Okay? No judgment here. Just write them all down. And remember, you're just clearing your mind. You're not organizing your thoughts. And then that in and of itself is just good because you when you start journaling, you start to access the subconscious mind. And what that means is that some of these things that are coming up that you're not even aware or conscious of, that are really, you haven't even identified as mental clutter yet, right? When you start this journaling dump exercise, you will see some of these things start to come up. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you hear yourself say something, maybe for the first time you share how you've been feeling or an experience, and then when you hear yourself say it, you're like, oh, wow. And you kind of learn something about yourself or your feelings or your experiences when you heard yourself say it or share the story or the experience. And it's kind of the same thing. Like sometimes things are just going to come up and you're like, oh, wow, that was there. That was there. Right? So that's one practice. Another practice we can do is like a limiting beliefs inventory, which is taking notes of specifically any limiting beliefs that you have. And then asking yourself, is this belief true? And does it serve me? And you got to be honest with yourself and also kind and compassionate with yourself when you're doing any of this work. And you have to be willing to shine the light of your consciousness on those shadow aspects of yourself, those dark aspects of yourself, maybe the parts that don't feel as comfortable to have to sit with and, look at and deal with. That's where the growth happens. You got to be willing to sit there in the discomfort and kind of do the work, guys, and get to what's on the other side of it. And another practice we can do is self-compassion. Practice self-compassion. And remember that this clutter doesn't define you guys. It's not who you are. And self-love is really releasing what doesn't serve your higher self. When you start to embody, like really embody self-love, and it's radical self-acceptance, it is this constant practice of releasing what doesn't serve your highest self. And you just keep coming back to it, and you keep coming back to it. And yeah. Another thing that we can do to manage the mental clutter is to set healthy boundaries with family and friends, especially this time of year with, in terms of managing holiday stress and anxiety. Setting clear and healthy boundaries with families and friends is a crucial element in managing the mental clutter, right? Because I didn't say this earlier, but this is like a duh. I mean, one of the big ways mental clutter can show up is as overthinking. And I know because I speak with a lot of you, not just clients, just online and in person. And I speak with people all the time, and I know how common overthinking is. And look, I was like, that was a tendency of mine before too. And just like with anything, this can improve with practice. And I remember even reposting at the time, because it was so relatable to me, a meme. This was years and years and years ago, before my self-love journey, but it was this little, a picture of a skeleton slumped over in a corner of a room, and the cartoon, the words on the top of it said, "If overthinking burned calories, I'd be dead." And I reposted that everywhere because I'm like, oh yes, oh my gosh, that's me, right? And so if that's you, hey, I get it. I see you, friend. But I'm telling you, it can get better with practice. So going back to how that relates to managing holiday stress and anxiety. So let's say part of your mental clutter and your intrusive thoughts is this anxiety and stress you're feeling over the holidays, whether that's over finances, because the holidays can feel like a financially hard time for some people. Maybe it's because of family, because the holidays can feel like a really difficult and challenging time for some people because of family dynamics. And I mean, it could be because you want to spend the holidays with multiple people and, there's only one of you. And I don't know, we could be feeling stress and anxiety for all kinds of reasons. But if we're overthinking about these kinds of things, that becomes mental clutter, right? And so getting really clear on what you want, what's important to you, what your values are, what your vision for yourself is, who you're becoming, where you're headed, and then set those healthy boundaries for yourself. Have those conversations, even if they're uncomfortable, and, prioritize. You can set a healthy boundary and still be kind. And we set healthy boundaries for mental boundaries, emotional boundaries, physical boundaries, and time boundaries. Meaning, for example, here's a time boundary. So say that you were invited to a holiday gathering or a party, and it's the family. And I don't know, maybe it's not your favorite place to be because of the energy, but it is your family and you love them. So you set a boundary. I'm going to come and I'm going to stay for this long and then I'm going to leave, right? And you come and these are ideas of boundaries. You don't have to stress out about it, right? You can create boundaries around everything around the holidays. You can set boundaries around spending. You can set boundaries around traveling and social events. You can set boundaries around everything. Relationships, right? Just all of the things, okay? And you'll be glad you did. And another thing that we can do to manage the mental clutter is to prioritize our self-care amidst the chaos. Because sometimes this time of year can feel a little chaotic, right? There's just so much going on, and it's such a beautiful time of the year too. But there is a lot going on. And don't let your self-care habits slip up, right? Or even if you're not really in the routine of if you don't have a self-care routine that you're just really already just like integrated into your life, prioritize your self-care this time of year. It's amongst the chaos. Work can get maybe hectic and there's more traffic and the stores are busier because there's more shopping, and your inbox for your emails is going to be busier because they've amped up marketing and all of the stuff, right? Just everything. There's just a little more of it. And for some of you, I know this is a meme, everybody, the Mariah Carey Christmas song. I don't know, for some of you, maybe you just heard that All I Want for Christmas Is You song one too many times. Who knows, right? So prioritize self-care, guys. If it feels chaotic, inner peace, right? You don't have to be chaotic. And, be mindful. Practice some mindfulness techniques for calmness, like breath work. If you are waiting in a long line and you feel your body start to tense up, or you feel yourself starting to get a little fidgety or agitated, that's all you got to do. One deep breath. Okay? Come back to your breath. And there are other things you can do, other mindful techniques you can do for calmness, but I'm going to tell you, breath, it's freely accessible to you. It's with you anywhere, anytime, anywhere. And it's freely accessible, It doesn't cost a penny. And it doesn't matter where you are. So I want you to remember that. Come back to your breath. If you're sitting in traffic and you feel the tension, you feel the jaws clenching and the shoulders raising, just take a deep breath. Okay? And one last thing here that's definitely worth mentioning is a digital detox, guys, or setting some social media boundaries. Okay? Really just being mindful here. How does it make you feel when you're engaging? And do you need to set some time limits or a certain time of day that you get on? Or are there certain things that you just don't want to engage with right now if it doesn't make you feel good, right? So do a little bit of that. Do a little bit of a digital detox, a social media boundaries maybe. Think that would feel really good. And yeah, I think that's like the mental clutter side of it. And then let's move into the emotional clutter side of it and what releasing that would look like. Because emotional clutter, this would be like unresolved feelings or attachments to past events that we keep carrying, right? And so it's the emotions that are cluttering us. It's the unresolved feelings. It's the things that we've been repressing. It's those attachments, those expectations, and that we're just carrying them and we're holding them in our body, and those emotions are there, right? There is a freedom in the release of this, guys, and releasing old emotional baggage. And it's not about forgetting. It's about making space for joy and connection and growth, right? I'm telling you, there is a freedom in that release. There is a liberation that comes. And true self-love involves allowing yourself to feel and heal from past experiences. You got to feel it to heal it. Y'all heard that? You got to feel it to heal it. So when we push our emotions down, and we push them down and we push them down and we push them down, and we don't let ourselves feel them and let them process, then that really does become emotional clutter. And it's going to manifest itself in our physical body in some way. The Body Keeps Score. That's a book, right? Or it's going to manifest itself as some sort of a trigger, right? Because definitely, even when we were talking about mental clutter, all of that, when we're feeling overwhelmed and overstimulated and overly emotional because we've been just holding it all in, I mean, oh my gosh, then we're like little ticking time bombs in a way. And if we become triggered and we lack the awareness or really the emotional intelligence to keep it in check, and we kind of have like knee-jerk reactions or reactions in general, this is where it's coming from. And so notice any of these recurring emotional reactions that you have, because they might be signaling to you some unresolved feelings that are worth exploring. And again, you're doing this from a place of kindness and compassion and self-love, and like self-blaming is self-sabotage. And we're not trying to be here mean to ourselves, guys. We don't want to. That's not the vibe, right? So, and then like also practice a forgiveness exercise, like practicing forgiveness, starting with yourself. Even, it's not about, and yes, move to others as well. Forgive others. And it's not about excusing your behavior, other people's behavior. It's about releasing. And you have to forgive yourself too. And that's one sometimes we forget about. And so that might be some of the emotional clutter you're carrying, is just being angry with yourself about, like, sometimes, for instance, one thing that can happen is we can like be mad at ourselves for maybe a choice we made in the past, because and that choice has manifested into a current situation or something of some kind. And like now we feel resent because of the current situation. And so we're like kind of resentful at ourselves or for the version of ourselves that made the choice that we made back when we got ourselves in the situation that we're now like, you heard the saying, you made your bed and now you got to sleep in it. And so let's say an earlier version of you made a choice, and now the current version of you is living inside of the consequences of the earlier version of you's choice. And now you're kind of like mad at yourself and you're feeling regret that resentment is what I was going for, because you're like resenting yourself because you're mad at yourself for making a choice that now you're dealing with the consequences of. Guys, you got to forgive yourself, because if you're holding on to that anger for yourself, like this is all you, it's you on another timeline, but like it's all you. And we got to let that go. We got to let it go. Okay? So practice forgiveness, starting with yourself. And then in everyone and others as well. Because you're forgiving that forgiveness, that you're doing that for yourself so that you can be free. And another thing that you can do, and that also includes like releasing grudges. If you have some sort of grudge that you're holding on to, this is your sign to let it go. Why are you even holding on to this grudge? Why? I'm sure in your mind you have a narrative and a story that you feel like you are entitled to hold this grudge. But here's the thing. What even is entitlement, and why do you feel that way? And how has having that grudge benefited you? And how, if you continue to hold this grudge, how is it going to benefit you? What positive thing in your life has come from you holding this grudge? I'm sure one of the things that comes from you holding this grudge is tension, anger, and releasing this grudge will bring a sense of peace and harmony. And that's a really sweet feeling. And if you have been holding a grudge for a long time, you may not even recognize what true peace and harmony feel like. And it's a really sensational feeling. And I don't know that you can truly achieve the feeling that I am describing if you have a grudges in your heart. There is a peace and freedom that comes with when you really have no grudges. When you're not like out for revenge, when there's not somebody you're just like, oh, I want to see them go down, right? When you don't hold a grudge, when you're not mad, when you're not just hoping somebody fails and hoping they get what's coming to them, or I don't know, whatever people feel when they have a grudge. When you don't live with that, it's freedom. It feels really good. So I want to encourage you to let go of any grudges that you have. Guys, it's the end of the year. Let them go. I mean, create space for something new, a new feeling, a new life experience, a new something. Also, let's talk about some emotional regulation strategies, because obviously, breath work is one way to regulate your nervous system. We mentioned that already. And emotional regulation, also identifying your emotions, identifying, what am I feeling? Am I feeling embarrassment right now? Am I feeling shame right now? Am I feeling relaxed right now? Am I feeling anxious right now? Like, identify, not I am anxious, right? Like, I am feeling anxious right now. And then, why am I feeling anxious? What am I feeling anxious about? When you start to ask these questions and then silence your mind, give your inner voice an opportunity to speak to you, because it will, and this is a practice, you will get better at it. You will get better at silencing the noise and listening to the answer. And you can start to find out, why are you doing, saying, thinking the things that you are, right? And what emotions are coming up and things like that. And then just learning how to self-regulate and do self-regulating in a healthy way. Okay? There are definitely unhealthy ways we can self-regulate. But like, we're going to talk about that in like a productive, healthy way, right? And then also just honestly cultivating a gratitude and positivity is one way that you can release some emotional clutter. Focus on what you want. Focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on, positivity, a positive mental attitude. And the things you focus on grow and multiply, and energy flows where attention goes. And so that is one good practice here. And just like we said earlier, recognizing and managing the emotional triggers. And then doing, I would say, a daily check-in ritual. Spending, guys, 5-10 minutes at the end of the day. If 10 minutes sounds like, yeah, right, I do not have 10 minutes. Okay, 3 to 5. Okay, 3 to 5. You got 3 to 5. At the end of each day, acknowledging and releasing any emotional tension. And one way that you can do that is kind of just like a scan, just like you do a body scan, right? Where you like maybe start at your toes and you go all the way up to your head, or start at your head and go all the way down to your toes, just relaxing, releasing tension, one thing at a time, and you just scan your body doing that. Well, you can do the same thing with emotional tension as well, not just physical tension, right? So do a little body scan. Where are you feeling? What emotions are you feeling? And just go through it and release it. Release it with compassion and gratitude. Okay? Now, I actually want to talk about maintaining a clear mindset with routine, because I mentioned routine just a second ago. But before I get into it, let's mention just a couple. I got really close to the mic. Sorry. Let's mention just a couple holiday specific challenges that might come up, like navigating family dynamics, or managing expectations versus reality. Some of us might deal with that, encounter that. And for some of us, maybe it's coping with loneliness or isolation. Because while some people may be like navigating family dynamics that they don't love or that are stressful or whatever, maybe even toxic or unhealthy, you've got some people that are on the other side of that, right? That maybe are feeling lonely or isolated, and this time of year intensifies those feelings, right? And that's something you may be going through. And Another thing this time of year would be balancing indulgence with self-care, right? And another thing one of my yoga teachers says, and I love, it's like, don't overindulge. In other words, indulge. Indulge. I'm not saying don't indulge. Be mindful to not overindulge, right? And that could be in any of the ways that we may indulge in the holiday season or the end of the year or just this festive time of year. Okay? And then finding meaning beyond materialism. I think that kind of is another thing that some of us may be dealing with this time of year. I mentioned a couple other things earlier, but I didn't mention this one. And yeah, because sometimes people may feel frustrated when they feel like other people are only caught up in the materialism of it, and they don't see this time of the year for something greater than that. And so my thoughts on that would be to encourage you, not only this time of the year, but like all the times of the year, to be a mindful consumer and a conscious consumer, and to balance your spiritual life with your material life. It's not all one or the other. You don't have to completely abandon the material world for your spirituality. And it's also not a healthy balance to overindulge. We'll use that word again. And just like with the consumerism thing, just like be a mindless consumer and really go overboard and overconsume. So there's a peaceful balance, right? And I do want to remind you too, the more you have to share with others. And this time of year, it is a time of giving, and it always feels good to give, and to give without any expectation of anything in return. That feels really good. So let's talk about, I mentioned some holiday specific challenges, and that's not all of them, guys, but I know that, I'm just letting you know, yeah, I see you. Like, I get it. We're going through all these things, and these practices, the stuff we're talking about, are all things that are going to help you regardless of the situation that you're in. Regardless of where you find yourself, these practices like self-love, these things that I'm teaching you, that we're talking about, I'm saying teaching you, you may already know them. I guess that I'm just here reminding you about and that we're exploring together. These are all methods and modalities and things that are they meet you where you're at, right? So regardless of what you're going through, this is just to help you have a better relationship with yourself, and that is going to directly impact and influence every other relationship and situation in your life. So it's all connected, friends. It's all connected. And let's keep going. So, acknowledge and release the emotional tension. That's what we were talking about. And now we're going to talk about maintaining a clear mindset with routine. Just like you tidy your room, right? You don't just clean your room once a year. Like, you tidy your room, you keep it tidy. And regular mental clearing routines are going to bring immense clarity to you guys. Regular mental clearing routines. And this is part of self-love, like investing in routines that support your peace of mind, right? That do this. That's like tidying your room. And you can start with a short daily meditation. Even just a few deep breaths to center yourself. I'm talking 30 seconds to a minute. if you're not doing anything, like if you're not meditating at all, honestly, guys, if you would even set your timer in the morning for 1 minute, and for 1 minute you sat, laid, or stood still with your spine erect or straight, whatever you're doing, you want to be in alignment. And then you focused on your breath, intentional breath for 1 minute. You would feel better. You would feel good if you did it consistently, right? And ideally, obviously, we want to go for more than a minute. I'm just saying, if you're not doing anything, you could do it for a minute. And you would start to build that habit, and you would start to build that, trust in yourself that, like, I'm going to do this. I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it. And you're going to center yourself, and it's going to feel really good. And then set aside like 1 day a week to reflect on your growth and your goals and any areas for release. And like Sundays are a good day to do that, but you do it what works for you, right? But it's nice to have rhythm and flow in your life, and just doing something, this is my daily routine. This is my weekly routine. And where you have a weekly routine and a daily routine that are centered around you and the relationship you have with yourself and how you talk to yourself and how you treat yourself and how you take care of yourself, right? So affirmations, that's another way that we can clear our mind, is to create or choose affirmations like, I release what no longer serves me. I release what no longer serves me. Right? And this is going to reinforce a clutter-free mindset. There's a release meditation Brendan Burchard has. It's on YouTube. I will do it in the show notes. Let me make a little note here. The release meditation. I'm going to put that in there. So it would be a good tool for you to add to your toolbox. Okay? And let's talk about setting boundaries, because we touched on it earlier, but like setting boundaries for mental and emotional clarity. And guys, boundaries are essential, and they protect our peace, and they limit the mental and emotional clutter from other people's needs and demands. And one of the things, we go into this deeper in Self-Love Uni, but I want to touch on it here because it's boundaries versus walls. And boundaries are transparent and walls are opaque. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. First off, boundaries are not pushing people away, guys. The purpose of a boundary is not to push people away. It's to protect your well-being and mental clarity. It's to protect your energy. Okay? So here's the thing. A boundary is transparent and a wall is opaque. And what does that mean? That means that a boundary, I'm going to clearly communicate to you, this is my boundary. Do you remember the example I gave earlier that maybe there was a group of family friends that invited you to a social gathering for the holidays, and you love them, and it's also a bit of a toxic situation. So you are going to go. However, you are going to set a boundary, and you are only going to go for a couple hours. What you're going to do, a boundary is transparent, and you're going to let them know, we will be there. Whoever, we will be there. And we're going to be there, and we're going to be able to stay for 2 hours, and then we're going to go. And then if this is what we have planned in our day to do, right? I am letting you know that yes, we are coming. This is when we're coming, and this is when we're leaving. And we are going to stay for 2 hours, right? That is your boundary. It is clear. It is transparent. You have clearly communicated it to the other person. Whereas a wall is opaque. A wall would be like you receive the invitation and you're just like, I'm not dealing with this. And you just put a wall up. And they maybe send you another message. Hey, we invited you to this party. And you're like, I'm not dealing with this. And you just don't answer. And you kind of avoid it. And they don't know what's going on. And you might be having these conversations with yourself or your best friend or your therapist about all of the reasons that you don't want to go or that you would go, but then you're going to have to stay all night and then it's going to turn into this thing and you're making up this big narrative and there's this whole story and you're talking to other people about it. You're going outside of yourself and making it into this big thing. And then there's a wall there. Like you're not even communicating directly to the other person. And so if you have known yourself to do that, what I'm inviting you to do now is to take a new approach and not even to go outside of yourself and to instead go within yourself and to sit quietly in meditation silently, right? And ask yourself the question, I received this invitation. I want to do all the things we just talked about. I want to get some emotional clarity. I want to identify, how do I feel about this? What emotions are coming up? Okay. What am I feeling? Am I feeling unsafe? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling whatever? Is there anybody I need to forgive here? Am I holding on to any grudge? Am I capable? Do I have the emotional maturity and emotional intelligence to have a relationship with this person, these people, with healthy boundaries in place? And if so, what do I want those boundaries to be? Can I handle this environment for small periods of time, for like a short intervals, right? Or whatever. Or maybe you have a boundary that's like, hey, I'm going to come and stay for 2 hours. And if anything happens, like say there's been a history of something happens, and I'm just letting you know that, is not a threat, but just that the plan is that is to come and stay for 2 hours. That is the plan. And you're like, if all is well, like we'll stay for 2 hours. And then if the energy feels off, we're going to excuse ourselves at that moment. And you don't have to over explain and it doesn't have to be a big thing. I thought you were staying. We said the plan was to come for 2 hours and, our plans have changed and we're going to excuse ourselves now. And we appreciate the hospitality, right? So I'm just inviting I want to plant some seeds because maybe this isn't the way we're handling things. And so walls are opaque. Boundaries are transparent. Clearly communicate them. Let people know what your boundaries are. And, And just remember that like setting boundaries, it really is an act of self-love and self-respect. Okay. And then also, honor other people's boundaries. Don't take it personally, people. That was so like, don't take it personally, people. Just saying, like, honor and respect other people's boundaries. You want people to honor and respect yours, right? So it's good. Let everybody, if we can all honor and respect each other's boundaries, wouldn't that be lovely? Okay. I want to give you some actionable tips too. One of them is do an energy audit. Do you know what an energy audit is? It's like take stock as you move throughout the day. Take stock of what and who drains or energizes you. Okay, this is an energy audit. So say you're like, okay, I'm going to do that this week because today is Monday. So like this week, December 2nd through 8th, I'm going to do energy audits and I'm going to go through my day, each day this week, and I'm going to make a mental note or maybe keep notes in your phone or your journal, whatever you're doing. And I'm just going to make note of who and what drains me, who and what energizes me. There is this wonderful children's book that a dear girlfriend of mine who's an incredible artist and illustrator, also a mother like I am, she had shown me this book years ago, and it's I'll have to link it. It's called like being a bucket filler or something. But the idea is that we can either be, everyone's got these buckets, and people can either be adding to our buckets with their energy and their light, or we have the people that come and take from our buckets, right? And it's a great little book, and I'll link it for y'all. But yeah, so who is filling your bucket? Who or what is filling your bucket? And who and what is taken from your bucket, depleting your bucket, right? And then do that again from a place of non-judgment. Just you're taking stock. This is interesting. Like you're gathering some analytics on your life, right? And what you do with that information, hey, that's up to you. But it will be pretty interesting to find out. And if you notice some patterns there, well, guys, there's your sign. If there is certain people or things that are consistently making you feel bad, well, okay, let's do something differently. And if there are people or things that just light you up, well, that's telling you something too. Okay? So, I want you to practice saying no with love. Okay? I want you to learn that saying no kindly is a great way to honor your peace. And you're not mean because you say no, and you don't have to be rude because you're saying no. You can say no with love. And you don't have to over-explain your no either. A no is a no. A no is a full sentence. It is a complete sentence. It can be no. Period. It can be no thank you. Period. Do you understand what I'm saying? You don't have to over-explain. And I want you to reflect on the social media use, friends. Okay? We can all do this. It's a good practice for all of us to just reflect on our social media use. Not even the amount of time that we're on social media, because for some people that can be excessive in and of itself, right? But like also limit your exposure to content or interactions that create unnecessary mental clutter for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, unfollow accounts that, like, when we talked about that energy audit, if you're consistently feeling like crap after you see post from like this specific account, why are you still following the account? And if it's a person that you followed that you consistently feel bad about, and then my question is, well, why are you still following that person? And then your response would be, well, I mean, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to unfollow them. I don't want them to think that I'm like, what, friend? What? Are you even? You quit worrying about other people's opinions of you, or none of your business, for one. And also, if it's not aligned, like you kind of like you can learn to say no with love, you can learn to unfollow with love. And it can literally not even be about them, because there could have been a time in your life when that person inspired you or motivated you or really made you feel excited or something like that. And now energy has shifted one way or another, on your end, on their end, on both ends, and it happens. And now it's triggering for you and stuff. So again, it's an opportunity. Your triggers are your teachers. This is an opportunity to, okay, why is this triggering me? Why do I not feel good? Is it something that they're doing? Do they just have a viewpoint that that's not resonating with me? Is it the way that they talk? Are they mean? Like, what is it? Are they doing something that's just awful? Or is it me? Is it just mirroring some aspect of myself that I'm not wanting to admit, or that I'm not living up to my potential, or that I see in myself. You can ask yourself these questions. And then if at the end of the day, you still don't feel good about yourself, you unfollow, and you do it from a place of gratitude. Like, good, I'm grateful that you were in my life for that reason, purpose, period of time. And I've learned something about myself, about life, who knows? And then you let go. And it's good. If it doesn't make you feel good about yourself, you just let go, guys. And you limit your exposure to content or interactions that create that unnecessary mental clutter. And also that aren't in alignment with who you want to be and where you're headed, right? And I think that I got a couple more things, but we're going to wrap it up here shortly. But I want to talk about, in conclusion, not quite in conclusion, we're going to do a little visualization practice for a clear 2025 vision. And 2025, it's only a couple weeks away, right? However, right now what we're focusing on is releasing the mental clutter, the emotional clutter, all of that stuff. It's like a reset. And we're here at the end of the year. And so I want to invite you to visualize a life that is free of mental and emotional clutter. What would it feel like? If you didn't have that inner critic sitting on your shoulder, chiming in when you didn't even invite them to the conversation and they just cluttering up your mind, okay? Visualize what your life would feel like, free of that mental clutter and that emotional clutter. That grudge that you've been holding, that person from your past that you just are angry at, or you're just mad at for some reason still, right? Or whatever it is for you. Imagine what your life would be like what it would feel like if it was free of all that. How would you show up every day? A little lighter? A little freer? A little more joyful? A little more playful? A little more peaceful? I want you to hold space for who you are becoming. And a clear mind and heart creates space for confidence and creativity and new opportunities. Okay? And self-love is creating the best possible environment for your growth and happiness. We can't have a toxic relationship with ourselves and then think that we're going to go out into the world and have all these really healthy relationships, right? So when we love ourselves, when we really focus on that and prioritize that, we are truly creating the best possible environment for our growth and our happiness in every aspect of life. So I want you to write down, set intentions for 2025. And you can go ahead and do that now. This isn't quote, New Year's resolutions, because I got a whole another thought on that, but we'll talk about that later in a later episode this month. But I'm just saying, like, set some intentions for 2025. Write down 1 or 2 clear, really heartfelt intentions for the new year that align with self-love and clarity. And then try like using mantras like, I create space for my higher self, to anchor yourself into this vision, right? Like, I'm creating space for my higher self. Like, these 1 or 2 things, these heartfelt intentions for the new year, I'm going to write them down and I'm going to put them somewhere where I can see them and I can look at them and keep them in focus. And I'm going to continue to affirm every day and use these mantras. Like, I am creating this space for my highest self. Creating space by releasing mental clutter, releasing emotional clutter, releasing emotional baggage, grudges, forgiving myself, forgiving others, right? And, you can take small daily actions every day to clear and love yourself. And this would be just small daily choices to clear your mental and emotional clutter. And it's going to add up over time. And this could be things like journaling, right? And the reflective exercises or the reflection exercises like we were talking about. And meditation. I mean, that's life-changing. And breath work practices. Like I said, even if it's for 1 minute, if you have not been doing anything at all, and you're like, even the thought of 5 minutes meditating sounds unrealistic to you right now, then go for a minute. I mean, guys, you cannot sit there and tell me that I can't meditate for 1 minute. Okay, I'm asking you to breathe for 1 minute. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And decluttering. And if you can't, then remember in the beginning we said you were making a list of your limiting beliefs? Well, I want you to go on and add to that list, I can't meditate for 1 minute, because that is a limiting belief. So work through it. Another practice you can do is decluttering your physical space for mental clarity. Truly. When your physical space is cluttered, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, that is impacting your mental clarity. If your physical space, if you have piles everywhere and it's just cluttered and it's a mess, it is affecting you. And it's kind of like a cycle, because sometimes often that also happens because it's a reflection, as above, so below, as within, so without type of thing. It's like a reflection of what's going on in our inner world. If our inner world is feeling a bit chaotic, then it's not surprising that our room or house or office or car might also be a little chaotic, right? So I want to invite you to be mindful of your environment and your physical space. And one of my favorite mantras, I deserve to live and work in a clean space. I deserve to live and work in a clean space. And I want you to set intentions for the new year. Like we said, this is a reset strategy. So set those intentions for 2025 and create you a self-care routine, a daily and then a weekly. And these are all just small daily, weekly, regular acts that you can do to clear and to love yourself. And this process of clearing mental space aligns with Self-Love Uni. These principles that we've mentioned and touched on here continue in depth inside of the program. So I want to encourage you to try just one exercise today that we talked about and notice the shift in your mental and emotional clarity. When you move with intention, right? And I want to also let you know about a brand new opportunity that is available, like starting now, guys. So, well, for one, if you have not already signed up for the live training that starts a week from today, it is the Power of Self-Love Week. And we're going to be spending a whole week, Monday through Friday. We're going to be going live video call. You'll be able to hop on with me every day for an hour. And we're going to be covering a different self-love topic every day. And I'm pulling this from Self-Love Uni, right? I'm pulling this because this is some of the core things that we cover in there. And I want to give you the opportunity to really do a deep dive and to experience a really transformational shift in your life in 1 week. And it's completely free. And so I'm going to link here in the show notes. You can go to whatchawant.us/SLU live, or I'm going to link it in the show notes, and you can sign up and get registered. You still have time. It starts Monday, December 9th, and it goes through Friday, December 13th. And it's free, guys. And I would love to have you there. And I'm also going to let you know, we had something else really exciting that just started. I am opening up a group coaching container for Self-Love Uni for the new year. If you want to start the new year off with so much clarity and intention, this is for you. And this is going to be happening starting up mid-January, January 15th. And you have the opportunity to sign up for that starting now, to get in for that. And if you sign up this month, if you sign up before the end of December, not only are you going to get into the group coaching, but you're going to also get an extra bonus. And that coaching program lasts 8 weeks. And if you sign up now, if you sign up before the end of the year, you're going to also get 1 year, or for the remainder of that year, of monthly coaching calls with me. So you're going to get an extension to that. So once the coaching container ends, your coaching does not end. Every month for the remainder of the year, we're going to be doing a monthly call, and you will be in on that call. And I'm going to put more about it in the show notes. You'll have some links to find out more information, to get signed up. I'm so excited. I'm excited to be doing this self-love journey with you. And if you've not already signed up for the Power of Self-Love, which starts Monday, December 2nd or December 9th, Monday, December 9th, go ahead and sign up now. Guys, I love you. Happy December. Happy clearing, right? Clearing to make space for magic. I love you. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, or at BE_what_you_want. Or visit dreameditThenRealLifedIt.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.